And the Gimli Film Festival handed out $15,000 in prizes as part of its Emerging Filmmaker Pitch Competition this past weekend. 24 applicants entered the competition, which aims to help artists bridge the gap from emerging to established. The winner was 29-year-old Joanne Roberts for her pitch called Anak. The pitch is for a 5-minute short film based on Joanne's life, and she joins us now. Good afternoon.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
What was it like to hear that you won?
I'm still sort of in major disbelief. I'm like, did this really happen? That people keep saying that it did. So, yeah, just trying to accept it.
Must be true. So what was the pitch then? What was your pitch?
It was a pitch for a 5-minute short film, and it's about a woman named Mia who's trying to come to terms with this dysfunctional relationship she has with her mother. So it's a lot about relationships, boundaries, but also culture and the transmission of trauma.
What does this win mean to you on a personal level, considering it's about your life?
It's incredibly validating. I feel like I'm doing something right in terms of my career. It's incredibly liberating to be able to speak out about personal issues and to shed light about this issue that is so stigmatized and so silent. So to be able to just let people know that this is something that's happening and you're not alone if you're struggling, it's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
How close does the documentary hit to your own life?
It's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
I directly take events from my own life, not just from the past, but also like very present issues as well. But I also I'm in contact with so many people who have similar stories to mine that I do want to pay homage to that. So it's autobiographical, but it's also very collaborative as well.
Could you give us just explain you gave us some topics that you address in your film, but as far as like threads and themes, what kind of challenges did you bring up in your own life that go along with the main theme?
So the entire movie is about this gray area of love. So when you think about a parent and child relationship, you expect an abundance of unconditional love on both sides, but that isn't necessarily the case. So what happens when a parent or a child can't give the other what they need? So it really plays on this idea of maybe unconditional love between parent and child isn't always a given, and it's absolutely not. And so, yeah, that theme is directly lifted from my own life, and it's very personal, but it's also very prevalent in a lot of families I know.
What was it like for you we mentioned about your win, but even to write this?
Writing it's really emotional. I can't help but, have a big cry or tear up as I'm editing my script. It's so deep and personal and wounding at times, but at the same time, it's very cathartic to be able to explore these feelings in an art medium that I love and to be able to come to terms with them at the same time.
What does anak mean?
It's a Tagalog word for child, so son or daughter.
And why did you pick it? That title, I mean.
It's very personal. In my culture, when a parent calls for you, they don't necessarily use your name. They use that verb. They say, anak, come here, anak, come to eat. So it's a word that I've heard very often. It's a word that has both positive and negative connotations personally to me. Mm-hmm. And because this film plays in that gray area, like I said, it seems really perfect. And it's also a nice introduction to Filipino culture. There have been so many people that ask me, what does this mean? And it's a wonderful conversation starter as well.
How else did you reflect your own culture in this film?
I'm specifically writing for an Asian family,
mm-hmm.
But I would like to hopefully cast a Filipino family in these roles. This specific dynamic, it's so very prevalent in our culture, and it's not spoken about very much to an outside perspective. So just the entire thing is just an homage to culture and our dynamics.
In terms of representation of different Asian families in media and specifically film, have you taken inspiration from any, or are you hoping to, or how else are you hoping to see more representation?
I know that there's been a little bit of a surge lately. There's a Kim's Convenience and Crazy Rich Asians, and actually I took some inspiration from Fresh Off the Boat. I mean, obviously that is a comedy, and I'm definitely not playing with a comedy, but just those family dynamics that they explore to showcase in that specific show, it's so relatable to so many Asians, and I definitely look up to those big productions that have made it into Hollywood and take what I can as inspiration, because I mean, we're all from different Asian cultures, but really we're all in this together because the representation is so low that, we take what we can and do our best with it.
Anak will be screened at next year's Gimli Film Festival. What projects are you taking on in the meantime?
In the meantime, I am working on a full-length play. It's called Love Letters for Juliet, and I'm hoping that it'll be streamed online for an audience, so that'll open in August. And I'm also working on a COVID-19 movie that will hopefully be finished by next year. It explores mental health and the consequences of being in self-isolation.
Wow. And that COVID-19 movie, are you also taking experiences from your own life for that as well?
Yes, I am. But it is an amazing collaborative effort. We've reached out to artists all over the world to share their stories, to help with the script, and to act. So my personal experience is just one tiny little fraction of what this movie is about. And I'm so proud to say that we've reached a very diverse group of people and put their stories into a very cohesive script. And I'm really excited to share that.
Without giving too much away, because you still want to have an element of surprise, is there a main theme, perhaps, of all of those stories that you've gathered?
The main theme is human resiliency and connection.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to have to bring you on again to make sure that we can get more details about that. In terms of your film, Anak, what do you hope people will take away from it once they see it?
I hope that people will sort of give a second thought to relationships that they see from the outside, but also personal relationships. Sometimes things aren't as they seem. Sometimes people are struggling to give you what you need, but it's not necessarily that there isn't love there. It's just it's a disconnection. But also sometimes you have to step away and reevaluate what is best for you. So I hope that people just are left with this sense of thinking about what's best for them.
Thank you for coming on the show, Joanne. Really appreciate this.
Thanks so much for having me.
Joanne Roberts is an award-winning filmmaker and actor. She captured the Emerging Filmmaker Award from the Gimli Film Festival this past weekend.